Ladies and gentlemen, friends, enemies, fiat slaves, and freedom fighters, today I come to you not as a financial advisor, not as a YouTuber, and not even as a man. I come to you as a temporal sovereign armed with a dream. This is a war council. Because we have identified a threat, not a terrorist, not a hacker. The threat is Dave Ramsey. Yes, the Dave Ramsey, the king of the envelope cult. The man who built a billion-dollar empire telling you to drink from a paper straw while the ship sinks. And let me be clear, this is not a disagreement. This is a declaration of financial war on a doctrine so obsolete, so catastrophically boomer-coded that it makes Blockbuster look like Web3. Because while the Treasury prints $1 trillion a quarter, and CPI is being measured in Pringles and fentanyl, Dave is still telling people to save cash and buy mutual funds. That's not advice, that's a death sentence with a smile. So tonight we enter the arena, not to politely disagree, but to obliterate the cult of fiat obedience once and for all. Now, before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone this will be my last video for a week as I will be in Las Vegas for Bitcoin 2025. I hope to see you all there. Please leave a comment for what you want me to cover when I return. And also, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video to those who need to wake up. Dave Ramsey, Boomer Oracle, suburban televangelist of Don't Be Stupid with Money, is telling millions of people to survive a hyper-financialized dystopia with nothing but an emergency fund and a dream. Pay off all your debt, he says. Don't invest in Bitcoin, it's too risky. Buy mutual funds and wait 40 years. You know what else takes 40 years? Cancer. This isn't advice, this is a fiat hospice plan. Let's break it down. Ramsey Economics 101. Save cash in a bank while CPI outpaces your yield like a greyhound chasing a diabetic turtle. Avoid risky Bitcoin because volatility is scary, but having your dollars melt like ice cream in a microwave? That's apparently wise stewardship. Buy mutual funds tracking the S&P, a debt-laden index of zombie corporations riding stock buybacks to financial heaven. Meanwhile, the US dollar is bleeding credibility faster than a White House press conference. But Dave, he says don't worry. Don't time the market. Don't think, don't question. Just keep throwing your fiat into the sacrificial 401k pit and pray to the ghost of Jack Bogle. This isn't a financial strategy. It's emotional pacification for the slowly impoverished. He calls Bitcoin speculation. As if buying an asset with a fixed supply and decentralized consensus is somehow riskier than trusting Jerome Powell not to carpet bomb your savings account with negative real rates. Let me be clear, this man is leading an army of well-intentioned boomers and debt-averse millennials straight into the fiscal wood chipper. And he's doing it with a smile, a book deal, and a radio show funded by advertising from life insurance companies who know his followers are going to die broke. Dave Ramsey isn't just wrong, he's financially criminal. He's the Jared from Subway of dollar cost averaging into fiat ruin. And we're done being polite about it. You may think Dave Ramsey is just a guy giving financial advice. No, he's not an advisor. He's a priest in the Church of Boomer Financial Morality. A televangelist for people who think Roth IRAs are edgy. His gospel, debt is sin. Credit cards are the mark of the beast. If you invest in Bitcoin, God will smite your FICO score. It's morality theater, a Broadway play for people who shop at Hobby Lobby and still think gold is the greatest thing ever. Let me explain Ramsey's worldview. Wealth is earned slowly, unless you're Dave selling course bundles to single moms with $90K in student loans. Volatility is evil unless it's your marriage after cutting up the Costco card because Dave said so. 3, risk is for the wicked because if you deviate from his dogma, it means you're greedy, sinful, or worse, tech-savvy. Meanwhile, Dave is still telling you to hold cash as Jerome Powell waterboards the dollar with interest rate whiplash and treasury buybacks. It's a fiat-era cult initiation ritual. And the entry fee, your time, your purchasing power, and generational wealth potential. If this were the Middle Ages, Ramsey would be selling indulgences in front of a Bitcoin ATM, screaming, "Thou shalt not yield farm." Let's stop pretending this is about finance. This is about control, obedience, and pretending the 1970s never existed. Here's the tragic comedy of it all. The world has changed. The monetary operating system has changed. But Dave Ramsey is still stuck in a beige office chair in 1994, screaming at a broke nurse to stop eating avocado toast and snowball her debt. Let's do a side-by-side. 1980s, the dollar is semi-sound, interest rates were sane, inflation was fightable. Paul Volcker was still alive, you could save your way to a decent retirement. In 2025, there's $1.1 trillion in US annual interest payments. Global M2 is expanding like a lung tumor. Negative real yields across Western civilization, dollar debasement disguised as patriotism, and Dave Ramsey still screaming just hold cash and pray. Ramsey's advice is like telling you to buy fax machine stocks while ChatGPT writes your eulogy in real time. He says don't invest in things you don't understand, but guess what, Dave? You don't understand Bitcoin, and that's exactly why you fear it. Meanwhile, the fastest adopting monetary network in human history is monetizing faster than any asset on record, and Dave's still telling people to dollar cost average into an index fund tracking collapsing consumer demand in a dying empire. That's ritual sacrifice in a 401k coffin. He's not adapting to the moment because if he did, he'd lose the psychological monopoly he has over people afraid of complexity. Dave didn't miss Bitcoin because it was risky. He missed it because it doesn't worship the Fed. Right, seatbelts off, oxygen masks on. We have reached the part of the sermon where I break the news that Noah has already sailed and his boat's ticker symbol is BTC. Dave says Bitcoin is gambling. Really, let's review the table stakes. Fixed supply, 21 million. Imagine a casino where every chip is engraved with the word scarcity. Borderless settlement in 10 minutes. Visa wishes it could move like this without a 1970s mainframe and a sacrificial goat. No counterparty risk. Your coins don't care if Jamie Dimon forgets to set his alarm. And it's energy backed. Every block is a receipt that someone somewhere set hydrocarbons on fire for your freedom. Meanwhile, Dave's holy grail of diversified mutual funds offers management fees so sneaky they should wear balaclavas. Holdings like Bed Bath & Beyond, a company that sells scented candles to ghosts. An average human life expectancy wait time for 7% nominal returns, which are eaten alive by 8% shadow inflation. Calling Bitcoin too risky while trusting a 60-40 portfolio is like refusing a parachute because the color clashes with your outfit and instead hugging a long chair as you skydive into a volcano. Mutual funds are deck chairs. Bitcoin is the only lifeboat. If you prefer deck chairs, enjoy the string quartet. Us Bitcoiners will be on the ark grilling some ribeye. Ramsey loves numbers, so let's feed him some Michelin-starred arithmetic. Assumptions, CPI running a conservative 8% because the Bureau of Labor Statistics swaps steak for cat food and calls it victory. The S&P 500 delivering a 7% nominal, which sounds generous until you adjust for taxes and inflation. Bitcoin 5-year compound annual growth rate sitting at 45%, even after giving it a haircut for the sake of politeness. Now the table of doom. Read it slowly so the mutual fund loyalists can feel each vein bursting. If you save 15% in mutual funds, Dave's advice gets you 7% nominal returns. The reality is that you're getting a -3 real return post-tax. Are you holding cash in your bank, letting it melt? The reality is there's more than -8% monetary debasement. Avoid risky assets. Dave's advice is to sleep at night, but in reality, that's going to make you starve in retirement. And to avoid Bitcoin because it's too volatile. Well, guess what? It's up 40 million% since 2009. Here's the translation for the back row. Ramseynomics equals slow motion exfoliation of your wealth. A modest Bitcoin allocation already beats his entire life's work. The full Bitcoin standard does not create wealth. It teleports you to a parallel timeline where compound interest speaks in Gregorian chant. Dave's avoid volatility mantra confuses price turbulence with risk of ruin. Fiat savings are an iceberg that melts invisibly, leaving retirees waving for rescue, while Ramsey sells another envelope course on the radio. His math is a hospice spreadsheet. Our math is a rocket equation. Choose your ride. Look, I don't blame people who follow Dave. They're not dumb. They're financially disarmed, stripped of agency by decades of fiat hypnosis and Dave's boomer sermons. They're like villagers in a post-apocalyptic wasteland using Dave Ramsey tapes as currency and bartering envelopes for insulin. He has trained an entire generation to fear volatility more than they fear retirement poverty, worship credit scores like their blood pressure readings, treat debt like it's a moral failing instead of a capital leverage tool, and associate Bitcoin with gambling but treating 401ks filled with zombie equities as sacred. And let's be real, he thrives on your fear. Fear of change, fear of complexity, fear of losing everything while the system is already robbing you in slow motion. Here's what Dave never tells you. The dollar is designed to die slowly, and it is succeeding, but you can't talk about any of that on The Ramsey Show. Because if you question the system, the entire grift falls apart. His brand survives only if you remain scared, obedient, and poor enough to keep buying Financial Peace University for your third divorce. If the US dollar is Rome, then Dave Ramsey is the bishop standing at the gates, selling financial indulgences while the Visigoths buy Bitcoin on strike. Let me paint the parable. The Treasury's on fire, the Fed is in rehab, bond markets are self-harming, and Dave is in the town square yelling, "Cut up your credit cards," like it's a wand that wards off hyperinflation. He's not offering freedom, he's offering obedience to a collapsing order. You think he's your advisor, he's your financial nurse, gently rubbing your shoulders while the purchasing power drains out of your bank accounts like a dialysis bag in a blackout. And what does he say about Bitcoin? It's too risky. You know what's risky, Dave? Building your life savings on a currency whose supply is decided by 7 guys in suits doing interpretive dance at Fed meetings. Bitcoin's rules are clear: 21 million, issuance schedule, no bailouts, no insider meetings in Geneva. Fiat's rules: shut up and keep working. So when Dave calls Bitcoin a scam, what he's really saying is, I don't understand this thing, so I must destroy it before my entire empire of mutual funds, Ramsey courses, and printable budget worksheets collapses into a singularity of irrelevance. In ancient times, guys like Dave burned books. In 2025, he just ignores the blockchain and hopes nobody logs into Strike. But it's too late. The citadel is breached. The priest has no pants. And Bitcoin is the torch that lights the way out of the fiat cathedral. All right, take a breath, take a sip of water. Then spit it out because it was denominated in US dollars and it's already worthless. Let's talk solutions, not band-aids. Not feel-good budgeting templates. Hard money, hard truths. If you take nothing else from this war council, let it be this. Bitcoin is not risky. Fiat is. Risk is holding government IOUs while they actively debase them to fund aircraft carriers, bank bailouts, and TikTok psyops. Let's break the trance. The average American household has less than $1,000 in savings. Real wages are flatlining. Inflation-adjusted stock returns are stagnating. Pension systems are slowly converting into death now programs. Ramsey's audience is told to stay the course, which is code for drown quietly. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, 99.99% uptime, absorbs global liquidity crises like a monetary black hole, beating every asset class every 4-year cycle, held by nation-states, institutions, billionaires, and 16-year-olds with a cold wallet. Dave can't compete with that because Bitcoin requires courage, not compliance. Dave Ramsey's empire survives only if you stay small. Bitcoin requires you to get big, intellectually, spiritually, and financially. Ramsey sells order, Bitcoin sells freedom. And freedom is dangerous to those who profit off your captivity. This is not just about one man, this is about the final chapter of an empire that forgot what money is. The US dollar is a simulation. Fiat finance is a Ponzi scheme for the obedient. Ramsey is the customer service rep of that simulation. Calm voice, friendly face, zero exit plan. So let's be clear, this is not a disagreement. This is not financial education. This is a holy war for the soul of capital itself. We do not budget our way out of a collapsing monetary black hole. We opt out, we exit, and we upgrade to Bitcoin. We choose math over manipulation, sovereignty over servitude, truth over fiat piety. This is our protest, and this is our plan. Bitcoin is our warhorse, and we ride it into the apocalypse with our wallets ablaze. Class dismissed. Dave, we'll send you a postcard from the other side of history.